Hey, I thought it would be fun to make a video detailing the evolution of my personal style and wardrobe over the years. I considered doing a more in-depth video about all the different pieces of media, movies, music that inspired me, but I don't know. I'll probably do that at some point in the future, but this video is going to be a little bit more basic, I guess. I'm very embarrassed of a lot of these photos, especially the older ones. But hey, at least it's proof that I'm not a poser, you know? This is the earliest photo of me that I have on my phone. It's from when I was 10 years old. I attempted to make myself like a Donnie Darko t-shirt using that horrible, like, iron-on t-shirt paper that doesn't last in the wash. And I don't know why I'm wearing, like, John Lennon sunglasses and a trench coat. Flash forward to when I was 12. I think I'm like near a cemetery here. My big back probably like shook the earth so heavily with every step that I took that I probably awoke at least a few departed souls from their slumber. It was 2019, so this was kind of like peak Eboy, e-girl aesthetic. So I had this habit of wearing a striped black and white shirt underneath band shirts that no e-girl or e-boy would ever listen to. And also I had really bad eyebrows. I used to have so many cool band shirts that I sold for far too little. You know, back before I could have sold those shirts for much more. You know, I had a Wicca Phase Eternal shirt, I had an American football shirt, I had an Echo and the Bunnymen shirt, you know, all lost to the void. And I'm sure whoever bought those shirts is probably reselling them on Depop now for $100. I remember back in the day when I posted this photo of me in my throbbing gristle shirt to my Instagram, Buzz from the Melvins somehow found my post and liked it, and I was super excited, even though I wasn't really into the Melvins. I just knew that they covered Hamburger Lady. This was one of my earlier attempts at a trad goth look from when I was in middle school. I was fat up until I was around 15 or so, and I say fat instead of chubby because I don't think that fat should be considered an inherently negative term. You know, we don't consider skinny an inherently negative term, it's just a descriptor of someone's body, you know? The weird thing is that back when I was fat, I actually received a lot less body shaming than I did when I became skinny. And the body shaming was mainly just coming from my family and randoms on the internet. I've had someone literally walk up to me in public and tell me that I looked like a skeleton and needed to eat a burger. I've had people comment on my videos telling me I look like a bag of bones, and I'm not even like crazy skinny or anything. But the thing is, the skinny shaming, although a lot more frequent, hurts a lot less than the fat shaming did. The thing about skinny shaming is that a lot of the time when somebody is making fun of you for being too thin, it's coming from a place of very clear seething jealousy, whereas when people make fun of you for being fat, that's like genuine hatred and malice. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people talk about their 2020 alt phase, but I really don't have that many pictures of me from 2020 because I just did not go outside. You know, this was the height of COVID. So here's one from 2021. I don't know what was going on with the patterns here. It's almost like I was intentionally trying to make nothing match, but the hair was kind of a serve. Now we're entering freshman year, and I actually like this outfit quite a bit. I did get barked at a lot because of the spiked choker, but yeah, you can tell that I was building up like an actual decent vintage clothing collection at this point. This is when I made my battle jacket. Yes, I had Haunted Mound on my battle jacket. This was back when Haunted Mound was still considered semi-niche and cool. This was when I shaved my eyebrows off fully. I started getting more and more into DIY, just started putting patches on everything, turning tights into shirts. Kind of a return to form here with the more trad goth inspired looks. Again with the fuck ass bob. In these photos, I'm 16 now, and the fuck ass bob was heavily inspired by Scarlett Kensington from Ghost Girl, which is this obscure book series that I was obsessed with ever since middle school. I had a moment where I was really into this Matrix vinyl trench coat thing that I had, and I would even wear this to school. And honestly, I probably faced less harassment and bullying during this era than I did when I would try to tone my look down, which doesn't make sense at first, but when you really think about it, there's a pretty obvious reason why that is. I remember going to this party, and my friend who hosted these parties, everybody would just be like throwing shit on the grill and slamming beers, and I would just kind of be there, like a ghost haunting the premises. And I remember this one guy walked up to me and was like, "You look like Edward Scissorhands." And I just said, I don't know why, but I just said, "Edward Scissor Wrists." It was just the first thing that came to mind. And of course, for the rest of time, my nickname was Edward Scissor Wrists. Brought that upon myself. In a lot of ways, looking super outlandish actually worked to my advantage. I actually think that being a little bit off putting and strange is social suicide in a way that openly embracing being a freak is not. My outfits were always a good conversation starter, and because people automatically assumed that I was gonna be this really gloomy person who took themselves super seriously, they were pleasantly surprised by my real personality. To tell you the truth, a big reason why I wanted to lose weight in the first place was because I just wanted to fit the stereotypical goth image. I remember when I was fat, I posted a picture of my outfit online asking for advice, and someone commented saying, "You look like a pig. Aren't goths supposed to be like thin and waifish and look like they're dying?" When people talk about androgynous people, very rarely will they ever bring up somebody like, for example, Divine. They always bring up someone like, David Bowie, for example. And I love David Bowie, but a lot of people seem to think that androgynous is synonymous with thin and pale. Like, I've heard people refer to Timothy Chalamet as androgynous, and he's not androgynous in any way. He's just like an archetypal twink. I do think that the goth get up functioned kind of like a shield for me, to the point where I almost feel naked without it. Because it was refreshing to have people make fun of me for something that I could control, Like, they'd make fun of me for being goth instead of, being autistic or being fat or having a weird voice or any of the other multitude of things I would have been bullied for if I wasn't bullied for being goth. When I was around 17, I started incorporating a lot more glam rock elements to my outfits, more Harajuku street fashion inspired elements, more Club Kid inspired elements, fur, leopard, these big, massive platform boots. I was very inspired by Richie Edwards of the Manic Street Preachers. I bought the snakeskin jacket because of Nicolas Cage and Wild at Heart. By the way, rest in peace, David Lynch. His work really made me who I am today. I don't think that there will ever be another David Lynch. And it's because a lot of these younger artists, they're only able to see the world through this lens of irony, and they fail to understand that the heart of Lynch's work is not irony. It's sincerity, it's earnesty and passion that burns so brightly it would, make you go blind if you stare at it for too long. A lot of people focus on how Lynch had seen the dark underbelly of America and all of this Hollywood glitz and glamour and the nostalgia that surrounds that time period. And while that's true, I think they're missing something, which is that he loved it. He saw the dark side of it and he still loved it to death. And I've kind of gone on a tangent here, so I'm sorry, but I just had to say that. Later on, I ended up just chopping off all of my hair and bleaching it back to blonde, just starting all over again. And I started dressing like my name was Kyle, and I punched holes in the wall while listening to Disturbed, and I drank Monster every day. You can barely see it, but in the last couple of photos, I had a labret piercing and a piercing in one ear, and I eventually ended up taking both of these piercings out just because I swear these objects carry energy. They felt cursed. Of course, my first instinct when anything goes wrong in my life is to completely change my entire vibe so that I can pretend that I'm a different person and this isn't happening. So I started dressing in more of like and I really hesitate to use this word because it's very much a micro trend word, but whimsigoth style. I was very into this kind of vibe for years. I just didn't really know that there was a name for it. I was incorporating the bell sleeves, the mesh, the crushed velvet into my wardrobe for years. And now we get to my current day style, which is a mishmash of elements from a whole bunch of subcultures and styles that I found interesting or loved my whole life. There are burlesque elements, mall goth elements to it, 90s, 2000s, more mainstream pop culture Y2K elements like low rise jeans and wearing lingerie as clothing. I hope this video was enjoyable or at least bearable. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.